What's up, everybody? Welcome to the video. My channel name is College Football Frenzy, and today I'm going to be breaking down my preseason Big Ten conference rankings. So, the Big Ten last year, in my opinion, was a pretty strong conference. It had 6 ranked teams overall. Those were Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. So overall, the Big Ten was a pretty strong conference, and even after the ranked teams, they had some pretty good football teams who definitely improved. So the Big Ten last year was a pretty good conference. There was a lot of competition, and for this upcoming season, I think it's going to improve a little bit more. There's a lot of great football teams in this conference. They're looking to have a big season or a bounce-back season. Obviously, we'll expect to see some similar teams at the top that are always there, but still overall, this should be a pretty good conference. So I decided I would break down from 14 to 1 my rankings of the Big Ten. Without further ado, let's get into it. Starting with 14, making my way down to 1. Number 14, I have Rutgers. So Rutgers got Greg Schiano, but overall, they really are not very talented. They're not a football school right now. They're not set to make a difference right away. Rome wasn't built in a day, and I say that just because Greg Schiano, I understand he can take Rutgers to the next level. We know that, but it's not going to happen immediately. It's going to take time. It's going to take a few years at least. So I think Rutgers is still a 2 or 3 win team, and the competition they're getting, I mean, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Indiana, that sure doesn't help. So it's going to be a tough season, in my opinion, for Rutgers. 13, Maryland. So Maryland, obviously, like Rutgers, has to face tough competition. But after that, looking at the team, I think they're more talented than Rutgers, and their coaching's decent. But still, they're not on the level yet that they need to be at. They're just not competitive with the great Big Ten teams. I mean, in 2018, they nearly beat Ohio State, but since then, nothing really has gone their way. They're pretty average. Last year, people actually were thinking after like week 2, oh, maybe this team's actually good. I think they were actually in the top 25 rankings after week 2 because they beat Syracuse, and they destroyed Syracuse, and that was a big deal because everybody thought Syracuse was a good football team. Well, Syracuse wasn't a good football team, and of course, Maryland turned out to not be a good football team either. They finished with like 3 wins. They were disappointing, and I really don't expect much from them for this upcoming season. So right now, kind of like Rutgers, it's going to take a while to build up. 12, Northwestern. So this one's a weird one because looking back at 2018, they did definitely have an easy path to the Big Ten championship, in my opinion, but still overall, they made the Big Ten championship in 2018. In 2019, they went 3-9. And one of their wins was against UMass, who's one of the worst teams in all of college football. So it's hard to really talk about this team, how good they're going to be next year. I definitely think they lost some talent after 2018, and I really don't think they have much talent right now, so that's definitely going to hurt. But overall, I think Northwestern can still improve a little bit from a 3-win team. I'm thinking maybe 4 or 5 wins. I don't think they're a bowl-eligible team. I just don't think they have the talent or too much going for them. But they should improve from 2019. They were a major letdown last year. Some people had them actually making the Big Ten championship game. I saw some people who had them being Ohio State, and that was not even close to the case. But overall, right now, they're at 12. 11, Michigan State. Now, first look, you might be a little bit surprised. Why is Michigan State so low? A few years ago, they would probably be in the top 5 of this. And that is true. They probably would be in the top 5 of this. A few years ago, they might even be in the top 3 of this. But they're at 11 right now. Why? Well, they lost head coach Mark D'Antonio. He's arguably a Hall of Fame head coach, and losing him is going to hurt a lot. I mean, it's absolutely extraordinary, the amount of crazy finish wins they had under him, the big wins. I mean, it was an incredible, wild ride if you were a Michigan State fan during the D'Antonio years. They never won it all, but they won a couple Big Ten championships, and they won some incredible games, some extremely exciting games. So losing him is going to hurt. I'm not discrediting new head coach Mel Tucker, but overall, I don't think Michigan State is very talented. I think their offense and defense are very average. And to be honest, they got the sanctions going on right now and stuff like that, or whatever it is. I think they're in a tough place right now. I have them at 11. 10, Purdue. So Purdue, I'm not saying that this is a bad football team overall. I think Purdue could actually be bowl eligible next year. I'm just saying overall, Purdue right now, I don't think is extremely talented, kind of like some of the other teams I talked about. And I really don't think they can compete with a team like Minnesota or Ohio State. I understand they beat Ohio State in 2018. They absolutely blew them out. But I don't think they're on the level of a team like those or those really good Big Ten teams. And overall, I don't think the talent is there. I think they could be bowl eligible. And to be honest, they could win the Big Ten. They could make the Big Ten championship game. Honestly, any team in the West could make the Big Ten championship game. It is a wide open division. But overall, I think Purdue still right now is a pretty average football team. 9, Illinois. So they improved a lot last year. Had a pretty good season. They beat Wisconsin on a last-second field goal. They came back from down 28-3 against Michigan State. Somehow won that game. So they had a couple big wins. They ended up finishing 6-7, losing in the Red Box Bowl to California. But overall, for Illinois, it was a pretty good season. They definitely improved a lot, in my opinion. I think they'll be decent. They could be a contender to make the Big Ten championship, just like Purdue. Overall, though, talent-wise, they're kind of average. Coaching-wise, I think they have a pretty good coaching staff. But right now, I don't think they're really on the level of some of the other teams in the Big Ten. 8, Iowa. Another shocker here. This is one you might be surprised with why they're so low, kind of like Michigan State. You probably would expect them to be higher. But I think Iowa is not going to be great next year. To be honest, I have them going either 7-5 or 6-6. I know that sounds shocking because constantly they've been a pretty good football team. This past season they went 10-3. Their 3 losses were all close. And, they won their bowl game against USC in a blowout. So one would think Iowa would be pretty good, and I think they're probably going to start in the top 25 for the preseason rankings. But they're losing a lot of key players. I mean, losing Tristan Wirfs on the offensive line, that's going to hurt a lot. Losing A.J. Espinosa, I think A.J. Espinosa going in the second round was crazy. He should have been gone in the first round. That was a crime to take him so low. So I think he was pretty good, and losing him is going to hurt. I think their offense was pretty average last year, and they are losing a couple pieces on it, so I don't expect it to be that great. I'm sure they have a pretty decent recruiting class, but overall, they're not as good, in my opinion, as they were last year. So I think they're a 6-6 or 7-5 football team, really just kind of average. And to be honest, I understand Kinnick is a very tough place to play. I would not be surprised if they got some upsets against teams like Wisconsin at home. But overall, I have them right now. I have them at a 7, Nebraska. So the Huskers have the talent, and they've got a great coach in Scott Frost. Adrian Martinez did pretty good in 2018, not very good in 2019. They just need to find the chemistry, in my opinion. They need to get off in the right foot. I think the Colorado game last year got them off on the wrong foot, and it was really a curse for the rest of the season. I think that this Nebraska team does have a very tough schedule. The second stretch of the schedule is very hard. I think they could start out 6-1 though, or 7-1 with the way their schedule starts. But overall, I would expect Nebraska to be maybe like a 7-5 finish or an 8-4 finish. But I definitely think the talent they have is good, and the coaching staff they have is good. So right now I have them at 7. 6, Indiana. Hoosiers. All right, so the Hoosiers are ranked pretty high in a football list. You probably haven't seen this that much. Indiana ranked the 6th best team in the Big Ten. I don't think Indiana is losing much talent off this upcoming season. I will say they have a tough schedule, but overall, I think the team is still just as talented as it was last year. They're a pretty good football team overall. I think they can compete. They nearly beat Penn State last year. They should definitely give a tough challenge to some of the good teams. So I think Indiana, despite having the reputation as a basketball school, I think definitely Indiana could make some noise for this upcoming season. So right now I have them at 6. 5, Minnesota. Minnesota, I think, is going to have a pretty good offense next year. Tanner Morgan's returning at the quarterback position. Rashad Bateman's returning at the wide receiver position. Mohamed Ibrahim's the running back. So overall, the offense should be pretty good. The defense, I think it's meh. Not anything extremely special, just meh. And coaching-wise, they've got a great head coach with PJ Fleck. He's returning. So overall, I think Minnesota should be a pretty good football team overall next year. I don't see anything that would show that this team goes like 8-4. I think they're probably a 10-2 team next year, maybe even 11-1. So I think Minnesota will be just as good as they were last year. They've got the talent. There's not much talent really leaving. So overall, they should be a very good football team, in my opinion. 4, Wisconsin. So the rival of Minnesota, Wisconsin made it to the Big Ten Championship last year. Looking at Wisconsin, defense is great. I think it's going to be the best defense in the Big Ten next year, in my opinion. I think maybe a top 5 defense in all of America, kind of like last year. That being said, their offense is not very good. Jack Cohn to me, is pretty average, less than stellar. I don't think he's anything really special. And the run game, Wisconsin, you could argue, is running back university. They're up there with Georgia. And losing Jonathan Taylor is going to hurt a ton. He was a key playmaker. I believe he won the running back award, best running back award twice in his career. So losing him hurts a lot. Losing him is going to be a tough break. So I think Wisconsin definitely is going to decline on the offense. The defense should still be great, but overall the offense, expect for it to be a little bit weaker. I don't love the pass game, and I don't love the run game. So I have them at 4. 3, Michigan. Michigan, listen, I understand they had a disappointing season, but they still have a lot of talent. The run game is going to be the exact same. I believe Charbonnet and Haskins are coming back. The pass game might be different. Probably going to be Joe Milton at quarterback, although you could land JT Daniels, who's probably going to transfer out of USC. That might help. And the wide receiver core is decent. You have some receivers turning back, and I think Nick Eubanks at tight ends returning as well. So overall, the offense should be good. The defense is the big question. It was great in 2018, not so great in 2019. Harbaugh, I think he's improved Michigan. He just can't beat Ohio State. But overall, this should be a good football team. At least 9-3. I think it could be 10-2 because they get Wisconsin and Penn State at home, and that's huge. 2, Penn State. So Penn State definitely has a lot of talent. A top 15 recruiting class, kind of like Michigan. A lot of returning talent. Journey Brown at the running back position helps. I think Sean Clifford's an average quarterback, but still, I think he can make some big plays. Pat Freiermuth at the tight end position, he's probably their biggest weapon. That's going to help a lot. Losing KJ Hamler, a speedy wide receiver, hurts, but still overall, you've got a few weapons, and your defense is pretty good overall. They lost Gross Matos, I believe, but they still have Micah Parsons coming back. So the defense should be good, and you've got a top 15 recruiting class. So I like where Penn State's at. I think they can definitely be a comparator to win the Big Ten East. And one, I don't think you can really debate this. It's the Ohio State Buckeyes. They went 13-1 last year. They've established absolute dominance over the Big Ten for the last 20 years. They've been very good. They've won plenty of Big Ten championships. They know how to win them. They're very dedicated. The talent, they have a top 5 recruiting class. It looks like they might have the best recruiting class ever for 2021. They've got a lot of returning talent as well. I understand you're losing Chase Young, J.K. Dobbins, and Jeff Okudah, but still overall, the offense should be, actually in my opinion, besides losing J.K. Dobbins, it should be better. I mean, the wide receiver core looks incredible with Fleming coming in. There's plenty of other weapons like Olave and Garrett Wilson, and Justin Fields probably going to be improving. The offense just looks incredible, in my opinion, and I think Jeremy Rucker at tight end's coming back, and then you've got Trey Sermon at the running back position. So overall, the offense is going to be great. The coaching staff, you lost some guys, but overall, it should be still, the coaching staff should still be fine. And the defense, there's a few holes in the defense. I'm going to admit that. I'm not going to lie. There's definitely a few holes in the defense. I think it'll be a little bit weaker than it was last year. But overall, Ohio State's the most talented. They know how to win. We're expecting them to be back to the Big Ten championship game, most likely come next December. They're just a very good football team overall. So I have them at number 1 in my rankings. But yeah, guys, that's it for now for my rankings. Thank you for joining in. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Every subscriber helps. So does every like. Share this content with anybody who likes college football. But yeah, guys, that's it for now. Thank you for joining in.